What's going on, guys? Welcome in. I am John Hamilton. I am your sports betting specialist here with Sports Lounge Media, and I am so excited to talk about week one here and what we have going on. This is going to be sponsored by the Diamond Company and the Mogul Brown in Sports Lounge Media. This is going to be a very fun day about what we're going to be talking about. There's a lot going into this week and what we're going to dive out of it. And then we are going to be talking about week two and the money lines and parlays of what we think is going to be interesting and what we want to dive into. So a lot to take away kind of from this. So as well, we do have a special guest on again. I'm very excited to bring this person on. They're very, very good with their picks. There's someone that I kind of communicate with and kind of dissect of what we have going on each week. But yeah, nonetheless, Ali, say hello to the stream and the chat.
Hello, everybody.
How, where's the energy, my man?
Yeah, brother, how can I put it, man? My team had a brutal loss, but it was a well-fought game. I knew it was going to be close to the wire, but I'll give credit where it's due and point out wherever the mistakes are too. Like wherever it was wrong, I'll point it out. But at the end of the day, this is week one. No problem. They showed a lot of poise and progress. So I'm happy. I'm not upset.
They did. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I completely agree with you.
I'll give
Hold on
credit
one
where
second.
it's due.
Yeah. So one thing I'm gonna say is that Ali here, he sings like a bee. He's quick with it and he knows his picks. He knows football. He knows the ins and outs. Unfortunately, he is a Bears fan this week. It's pretty bad beating, but not by too much. I do think the Bears had a lot of great takeaways. I think they're going to be a team that's going to come back and be very combative in that NFC North. I think they showed great strides and they proved to people in the weaknesses of what people thought they were lacking, more or less. And I think this kind of settles the argument and debate that Caleb Williams is or is not that quarterback. I think for the amount of yards that he passed, he's still on track to be the first quarterback to throw for the 4,000 plus yards, which if you guys have not put that bet in, I would already do that right now. Go to your local casino or betting facility to be able to put that bet in. I do think that he will hit that 4,000 mark. Do you agree with that, Ali?
I agree with that 100%.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so kind of diving into it, Ali. Yeah, let's put this out there a little bit. So week one, all right.
Yeah.
Week one was interesting because week one allowed us to kind of see what teams' playbooks look like, what new players were going to be utilized in the format, a lot of rookies, how they were going to be operating, and what I saw from this was more rookie wide receivers being utilized than veterans. I saw some rookie running backs being utilized more so than some veterans, but I also saw a lot of sloppy play. Do you think this could be due to maybe some new playbook changes that they were trying to address or adapt to with each team?
Yeah, it could be there were a lot of crucial calls like that. It went wrongly, and a little poor decision making on one end. And then there was a costly field goal if he would have hit that, and if he didn't elect to go for it on fourth down, it would have been a total different ballgame if that would have resulted in a victory. And my friend pointed out, yes, I love the confidence that he had to go for it on fourth down, but you don't do this in a pivotal game one that'll set the bar for the season. Now the team is slightly demoralized from it,
Yeah.
But if you would have did it later, it's okay, At least you had some momentum going into the next week. Now it is hard, It was a very hard fought battle. Give hats off to the Vikings, to JJ McCarthy. He turned it up in that fourth quarter. But I can always say one thing. I'm always going to be a diehard Bears fan, but I'm a very realistic fan too. So I'm going to give credit where it's due.
Absolutely, and this is why we have you on. This is why we're talking to you, and this is why I even connect with you, especially in the sport realm. Is because you have such a non-biasness when it comes to your bets or your analytics or statistics with certain teams. And obviously we want both of our teams to operate as efficient as humanly possible, but doing so, that means we have to take away some of the things to make sure that we get our wins and our parlays and our picks. So kind of going with that, guys, I want to put out that I hit 2 of my parlays. My bigger one was a 8-leg that I had put out on TikTok. If you guys didn't follow, you guys need to be following. We are going to be soon having a subscription service at sportslaunchmedia.com, which is where you guys need to be subscribed to and following. Doing so, I'm going to be putting my guarantee locks, and guarantee, I don't mean by you're going to guarantee wins, but these are my ones that I have invested my time and my knowledge in that I firmly believe that these will hit. One of which was a plus 1,997. On an 8-leg, I had the Eagle money line compounded with the Commanders, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Steelers, the Jaguars, the Broncos, and the Niners, and all of which won. So I was very impressed with that being able to be hit. Some of those got away with some sneaky teams. Some of the things to kind of take away with these teams too, diving down into it, I'm going to skip some of the obvious divisional games like the Cowboys and Eagles that can be talked about forever. We know how that's going to be operated. It's going to be a tight game typically because they both play each other so hard and so common. Same with the Commanders and Giants. The Commanders had a takeaway on that. But I want to start off with the Cincinnati and Browns, Ali. And this is going to be talking about how I think the Browns played a really good defensive game as well as the Bengals. And I think the Bengals address certain needs defensively. What do you think about the Bengals so far?
First and foremost, one thing, John, they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's one thing. The Cleveland Browns are playing the Baltimore Ravens. But, like the Bengals look, it's the first game. They look shaky. Jamar Chase didn't look good. He got targeted 5 times and he had 2 receptions, 20% out of 100, But it is the first game. We all know the Bengals start slow, like, they start off lackluster in the beginning, but the fact that they won, that's a good takeaway from it because usually they do lose, in certain cases.
Right.
The defense, this is what I really want to point out. The defense, everybody's always say that this is what they're known for, like where they're not good at,
Right.
But they look very solid.
Yeah, I agree completely. I don't think this is any takeaway from Joe Burrow with the Bengals and how they operated offensively. I think that, the Browns did step up defensively. Their secondary isn't a mesh, and they have a good pass rush. I think that the positive takeaway is that the Bengals stepped up defensively. So I had the Bengals in this one. They did win. Kind of moving down, an interesting game, kind of the opposite of everything we just said, was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Jets. So everything we said but opposite, 180 it. Great offenses, horrible defenses. And that is surprising to me, especially with this matchup, because I had the Steelers defense being a top-notch defense. Do you think this was an anomaly? Do you think that this is something that they're going to be able to get together for week 2? What do you think?
It is still too soon to tell, but here's the thing. When you come to that conclusion of it being too soon to tell, you have to take into consideration that they shocked a lot of people in that aspect, but they're headed in the right direction. Right. So with that being said, I think they will be pretty good. Defensively, they were good last year. They showed it this week. But the Pittsburgh, I think overall they had better depth altogether. Yeah. And that's the only reason why I think they won that. But hats off to Justin Field, my former quarterback, for 3 total touchdowns. And he looked so calm, collected.
Yeah, unbelievable game.
I love the way he played, and I'm so happy for him. I always root for him, and going forward, I'm very, very impressed. And not to mention his connection it looked good. He reunited with Garrett Wilson back from from college days. So that it's good. I'm proud of them.
I see some strong potential with the wide receiver core rookies that they have, like Malachi Corley and so forth. But I think the positive note with everything with the Jets is that, like you said, that he looked calm, cool, and collective. He looked like he struggled a little bit in the offseason during OTAs and practices with some really weird, strange injuries that came about, But it looked like he got over that hump. He put together an offense that was competitive with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know where the Steelers are going to fall this year, but I did have the Steelers taking this. The next one is just a really quick brush by the Jacksonville Jaguars. This solidifies that they have a team that can be competitive this year. It was against the Panthers, and this also solidifies that the Panthers are not the hype that people think that they are. The Panthers are not going to be a good team. I do not see them go above 500 on their wins this year. I see them squeaking out a few wins here and there, but I think that they're going to be really targeted for some draft picks next year, and there's no way that this team bumps up in their division. Moving down, an ugly win. I think this was a complete anomaly. I don't think this was an accurate game, but the Broncos against the Tennessee Titans, a 20-12 win. I have the Broncos winning this division this year, and I think that Bo Nix just did not play his normal game that he did last season where he played phenomenal. I think this was just kind of shake off some cobwebs, play against a brand new team that was put together with the Titans. What do you think?
Yeah, the thing is, the first game, like I said, there's always going to be hiccups, in every single game, and he did it. Unfortunately, yeah, it was against the Tennessee Titans, but at the end of the day, they still won. And that defense looks phenomenal, which, me and you even mentioned this before the season started. That defense, I had them at the end of the year. It's going to be the best defense is going to come down between the Steelers, if you ask me, and the Broncos. Yes, the Texans are good, but I feel like they can still. No, I think the Steelers and the Broncos are definitely going to take that throne. And going forward with that, Bo Nix, just knowing that he got Evan Ingram got injured,
right?
So that does play a factor into it too. So you gotta factor in all these things. And it's week one. Everybody's gonna have their hiccups. I think next week, they have an easy matchup. I believe who they are playing. Let me look at this really quick. Sorry to not have this at the top of my. They are playing the Indianapolis Colts. Actually, you know what? Colts actually surprised a lot of people.
We're gonna get into week 2 here in a minute, if I can pause you on that. But I want to talk about this last matchup. Now, this last matchup, there's a lot to dive into. And Friday, we're going to be talking about it here, guys. Here on SLM Bets, we have a show as well that we're going to be starting this Friday. It is called the Friday Faithful. It is where we talk about the San Francisco 49ers. That is my team. We'll be addressing a lot of the season concerns and issues and what's to be coming about. But just diving into this really quick, this with the Niners against the Seahawks at the Levi's North Stadium, also known as Seattle. It is such an interesting game, takeaway, practice, however you want to say it. I think these might be some of the 2 best defenses, pass rush, that are in the league. With the sacks, the tackles that were allotted, and Nick Bosa going in, pushing in. The gentleman that just signed his contract with Seattle for an extension, into Sam Darnold to cause a fumble to have the nail in the coffin for that game win. It was a very up and down game. It could have been taken by anyone. Seattle had every opportunity to win this game, with Brock Purdy throwing 2 interceptions, one of which I don't think was necessarily his fault. It was just a defensive play on Seattle that they did a really good job on. And then, of course, Jake Moody, the problem child of the NFL for kickers, missing two field goals, one within 30. So he is sitting currently at 76% made field goals, which is a horrific stat for a kicker. That is horrible. And Seattle found a way to still lose. So I did have the San Francisco 49ers winning this. I thought it would be by a lot more, but we won with no one on our team. Now, Ollie Kittle got hurt in the first half. Then Jawan Jennings went out with the shoulder. We only had Ricky Pearsall. We had a backup tight end. And Christian McCaffrey had a game of his life. His calf was put together by duct tape and prayers and wishes. So he still had a great game. There was a lot to take away from this. But, yeah, they ended up pulling out this win, which means I ended up hitting my 8-leg parlay. But also out of all 16 games, I went 13-16. And my friend Ollie went, 14? 14-16. So we're both sitting above 85% for the week, which is absolutely phenomenal. That's much better than Vegas did this week. Vegas actually went 11-16. There's a way to look that up. If you guys don't know, you guys can go on Caesar Bets or any type of betting app inside of Vegas and look. Vegas on their Moneyline picks of what they put in. They went 11-16. So Ollie and myself, we were both above that. I'm very impressed with that. A lot of takeaways. I think we're going to see some things kind of shift, and I don't think this is going to give us any definitive answers of who's going to be the team to pick each week. And there's always a few upsets. Isn't that right, Ollie?
100%. And this week, I actually have a couple of upsets. Like if you look at an interesting game line, they have what game was it? The Patriots losing to the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to give the hottest take right now that the Miami Dolphins, I'm sorry, I know it's week 1, but they looked horrendous in the first match. And given the health of the team, I think should have over-exceeded with that. I think they should have at least been competitive. That they weren't even competitive. That's the thing, you know?
Correct. But, I mean, and that's interesting. We can dive into that one right now just so kind of putting this up. I'm going to put this up here on the board so everyone can see. So Moneyline and parlays for week 2. Lock these in today is what I have on our page right now. So what we're looking at, we're just starting out with the Patriots and we're starting out with the Dolphins. Okay, so that's the one that you want to talk about. Yeah, Miami looked horrendous. Tua could not complete passes. That O-line looks horrible. Tyreek Hill still looks decent, but they have weapons as Jalen Waddle, Jalen Wright. They have A-Chain. They have so many players that they can use. And I know for a fact that Colts defense is not a top 10 defense. And they still couldn't put the ball in the end zone. They couldn't stop their offense. Danny Dimes, congrats to him for performing as well as he did. That's amazing. Do I think it's going to happen again? It's too early to tell. But yes, I would lock in the Patriots on this one. I think the Patriots are a very safe take. I also think Drake May played a very reasonable game. I don't think he played a bad game by any means. I think that the Raiders just outplayed them a little bit from experience and veterans on their team. They also have Max Crosby on the edge, and they have Brock Bowers as the tight end, top 3 tight end already. So
also,
yeah, go ahead.
Also, can I chime into one thing in for that?
Please.
Ashton Genty did play. He did play well, and most importantly, yes, they have a good roster on that. But you have to give credit to Pete Carroll too. He's a very experienced coach on that. That's the biggest takeaway. I'm gonna say that resulted in that victory in that because he knows the game. We all know this, and they looked good. They looked good. They clearly outplayed them.
Yeah, I think their weak point on the Raiders is going to be their secondary defensively, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Just seeing some of the highlights, I wasn't really impressed. It looked like they got their man beat them on the slot. It seemed like they got in on their 15-yard post routes where they were open within more of an arm length. It just didn't – it looked kind of sloppy defensively. So I think their edge is great. I think they have a good D-line. So – I'm interested to see what happens, but yes, I do have the Patriots taking away. So let's start at the very top, Ollie. And we're going to go, if you guys don't know, I use the app DraftKings. DraftKings is going to be state by state. In my state, here in Washington State, I do have to go to my local casino to be able to be inside of the geo mapping to be able to place bets. And that's what I do. I go up once a week to be able to place a bet that I like and kind of look through. So we're going to talk about some of the stuff, not necessarily the bets that I have, but these are going to just be some of our recommendations that we're going to give to you guys. So we're going to dissect them a little bit more. We're not going to just rush through them, and I'm going to let you guys know. And then at the end, we'll do a highlight of the ones that we would recommend, not necessarily the ones that we're betting on. If you want that information, you will have to subscribe at sportslaunchmedia.com for my picks. All right. So Green Bay and the Commanders. This is going to be at Lambeau. Who do you like in this one, Ollie?
This is going to be a tough game. Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback, but I do want to point out Green Bay looked phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And as much as I hate to say it because they are the arch rival, mm-hmm. they look phenomenal. And I see them going forward. Now, at the same point, I am going to point out Jordan Love didn't look impressive to me. Another thing, he did not look to target his rookie wide receiver in Matthew Golden. Granted, yes, was his other receiver, Romeo Dobbs.
Yep.
And I always forget the other guy's receiver's name, but they played well. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I felt like Jordan Love, he could have explored more options, and he could have made a crucial interception that could have been costly. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the biggest concerns dating back to him from last year, and even in the postseason.
I do think that the injury with his hand didn't affect his gameplay at all, since that was not his throwing hand. I do think that what we are going to be seeing taking away from this year's Love is a good to mediocre quarterback, but giving the opportunities to his receivers for them to progress into the red zone or to create opportunities where they can get yardage, first downs, and score. I think the defense is the biggest step up for the Green Bay Packers. I think that, and it's not just Micah Parsons. It's a lot of pieces and the coaching staff that has been put together for them to operate at such a high level. I think them kind of starting out and putting the state line fact of them beating the Detroit Lions was a phenomenal feat, and it will definitely help them in the NFC North, which is going to be such a tight division this year. And going on the opposite side of the ball, why I'm personally recommending that you guys pick the Green Bay Packers is because the Commanders played the Giants. No, this isn't a dig at the Giants. I think the Giants are an absolute sidewalk scratch, surface level rebuild the team. They don't even know what quarterback they want to start, and they have someone that played at a high level in college recently. They have an experienced Super Bowl winning quarterback, and then they have a quarterback that's played on every team imaginable. I think there's really good pieces there. I think the problem is going to be management and the coaching. They're just not going to be it, right? So yes, the Commanders won, but it wasn't a massive blowout. It was really close still within a 2-game score. And I think the Packers are really going to show what football's about to the Commanders, and this is why I have the Green Bay Packers. The next game is interesting, Ollie. We have Pittsburgh Steelers versus Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. And that could go either way. I won't deny that, but the Seahawks, Kenneth Walker did not have an impressive game. He had actually a bad game. And
Charbonnet had the good game for the running back.
Yeah, Charbonnet did. Mm-hmm. Now the thing is, if he performs well, yes, they have a very good chance, I'd say, to win it. But the thing is, we all know how Sam Darnold performs under a lot of pressure, under defense. Now, the Steelers, they're going to bring that pressure. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
And for me, the reason why I'm going to have to go inside with the Steelers on this is simply because their defense is way too talented. And Aaron Rodgers, he did not look like Grandpa Rodgers. He looked like Prime Rodgers with 4 touchdowns. He passed really well. But like I said, it does. There is a chance for the Seahawks. You know, I don't think they're a bad team completely, but they still have a lot of things to work on. But their future, I'm not gonna say it's horrible. No, they can go in the right direction. But in this game, I personally do not see it happening. I think the Steelers take away that game.
That's interesting. Those are some interesting takes. Yeah, I think that Seattle had, like I said, they played sloppy this week. They played at home. They had every opportunity to do something to get that W. The Steelers did walk away with a W. They had a high progressive offense. Their defense didn't look as good as what I thought. I think they're going to really take away some of the things this week and regroup, rebuild for the defensive, and maybe adjust some things there, maybe some even personnel. But yeah, I think the Steelers at home in Pittsburgh, I think that Pittsburgh Steelers take this win against the Seattle Seahawks. This is not the 2013 Seattle Seahawks. This is 2025 Seattle Seahawks with Sam Darnold as your quarterback. I think the Steelers win. I think DK Metcalf has a smile on his face at the end of the game and goes home and gets a good night's sleep. Going forward, we have the Bengals against the Jaguars. This is going to be in Cincinnati. I have the Bengals to win this one against the Jaguars, is who I recommend, guys, as well. The Cincinnati Bengals against the Jaguars. Jaguars played phenomenal. I think Travis Hunter is not a bust. I also think BTJ is an amazing player. I think Trevor Lawrence is also a mediocre quarterback. And when I say mediocre, he's one of the best in the entire world. He's a top 32 starting quarterback. But in the comparison of the other 32 quarterbacks, he is mediocre. And I think their defense has stepped up as well. However, I don't think it's going to be good enough offensively to beat the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to absolutely show out in home in Cincy with all of their weapons. They're going to show why they have $500 million invested offensively with 3 players. I think that the Bengals walk away with this one. What do you think?
I totally agree on that. The thing is, Jaguars did show that they can compete. Like, I wouldn't say necessarily playoffs because it's way too early to determine that. But the Bengals, they had a lackluster game in game 1. It was a learning curve, and I think they, like I said, their defense, they showed out.
Yeah,
and that's the main thing that I want to point out, because the thing is, that okay, offenses, everybody's gonna have their hiccup games, but even with that hiccup game offensively, they still pulled out the win against a good defense with the Cleveland Browns. Now the Jaguars, I personally I don't see it. I think the Bengals take away from in this game, because that offense, they are going to prove it.
I think that the head coaching staff has their necks up on the edge of the table ready to be cut if they don't have a good season and make it into the playoffs. And I think they know that because they have the talent, the personnel on that team. I think it comes down to coaching, and I completely agree with you. I think the Bengals do win this game. Yeah. This now the next one, Ollie, is going to be an interesting one, and I really want to hear your points on this. Now, did you get a chance to see the Niners play the Seattle Seahawks at all? Any of the highlights?
Yes, I did get to see the highlights.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Okay, so moving away from this was supposed to be a gimme game, and I still feel that it's going to be a win for the 49ers, but I feel like it might be a little bit closer. We're talking about the New Orleans Saints, the Niners flying down, going into the New Orleans Saints. Love Louisiana, by the way. New Orleans people, they're great people. Okay. But Niners going down into the Saints. What's going to be your takeaway? Do you think this is going to be an easy walk game, or do you think this is going to be easy? Now, remind you, Kittle is out for 3 weeks.
Correct. Now, here's the thing. I did hear that Brock Purdy might not play. He's questionable. If I think it's doubtful. Now that changes the dynamic to it. Yes, you guys have Mac Jones in the backup, but it's still an unknown for me, if you ask me. Now, Alvin Kamara, he's a great running back. He can run it. But with that being said, I still trust in Kyle Shanahan and his schemes. And if CMC performs the way he did, like he carried the team on his back, and if he replicates it, I don't see a chance in hell that the Saints do it. And even then, like Spencer Rattler, I'm sorry, I don't like to talk bad about quarterbacks, but No, I think Mac Jones will even outperform him, just personally speaking.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing really quick about Spencer Rattler too, right? Is Spencer Rattler threw the ball for 46 times and only produced 10 points. So I'm wondering, was he just playing flyers up? Was he trying to connect to the other team? I don't understand. How do you throw 46 times and not get any points on the board more than 10? There's a lot of interesting things with this being said. The 49ers, all those are interesting takes. I'm pretty sure Purdy's going to play. But yes, on the Saints Kamara thing, what do you think about Chris Olave?
Chris Olave, he is a great receiver.
Yeah.
Despite his numbers, I looked, in our fantasy football league, and despite that, he actually performed pretty well. And with that being said, with the quarterback, in Spencer Rattler, who threw it 46 times, as you pointed out, it does go to show the type of caliber player that he is, So I think, yes, if he's on a different team, the whole dynamic is totally different. He was targeted 13 times. He had 7 receptions, so slightly above 50% for 54 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, I think he's a good player. He would thrive under a good quarterback, personally speaking, but I don't see him thriving on the New Orleans Saints.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have the Niners in this one. Is that true?
100,000%.
Okay. Moving down forward, we're going to make these into a minute each, just so we can kind of put the timeline on this. But the LA Rams against the Tennessee Titans, I want to hear your quick takeaway, and then I'll give you mine.
All right. The Tennessee Titans
and the LA Rams.
LA Rams. Yeah. The Titans. Cam Ward didn't have a great debut. He didn't. But granted, yes, he played against a phenomenal defense, but he is still going to be playing a phenomenal defense against the Rams. A lot of people knock on the Rams defense, but people forget that last year, even though they lost Aaron Donald, that was the biggest concern. How are they going to perform? Statistically, they actually performed better.
Yep.
So, with that being said, and they looked very good, and in this first game against a nice high octane offense against the Houston Texans. So with that being said, if the Rams put up a good fight defensively against a good offense with the Texans, the Titans offense, I don't see it. It's not a good offense if you ask me personally. I hate to say that about a certain team, but I'm just giving my honest opinion at the end of the day.
Right.
So I see that as a blowout, as a lock for that. There's not a single doubt in my mind that the Rams.
It's funny if you want to talk about stats and historical figures. The LA Rams lose to the Tennessee Titans the last 4 matchups they've had, but the last matchup they had was in 2021. I think this is a completely different team. Back then, they weren't producing the same offense that they were with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, Puka Nacua. I think that Devontae Adams is a huge add with the Rams. However, Matthew Stafford, even being an incredible quarterback, having a great arm and being as knowledgeable as he is, he's getting older and less mobile. I don't think the clutch factor is still, I don't think it's where it used to be. I do have the Rams winning this, but I think it's going to be a much closer game than a lot of people that are anticipating it to be. I think that Tennessee is actually going to start showing up. They have Jaquan Jackson. They have a lot of new rookies that absolutely have the speed on their team, and it's just needing to be put into their hands to be able to operate at a high level. I think the LA Rams do take this away, but it's going to be very, very close. Moving next is going to be the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys at Dallas. Do you think that Dallas wins this game, and why?
I think that's actually going to be a lot closer than a lot of people would say in comparison. I know you had the Rams and Titans game being close. I don't see that, but this game I do see it being close with the Giants and the Cowboys, just because it is a divisional game. But the Cowboys did play. They performed very well in the season opener against the Eagles. Had it not been for CeeDee Lamb's 4 dropped passes, I think they win that game. And despite losing Michael Parsons, that's a very tremendous feat if you ask me personally. And yes, Giants are good defensively. Don't get me wrong, but this is the question you have to ask and you have to dive deep into. Is the Giants defense good enough to stop that offense, and is the Cowboys defense good enough to stop the Giants? Which one is a favorite?
I think kind of what you just said there is the perfect takeaway for this. To give it a synopsis, is the defense is strong enough to stop each other. I think Dallas Cowboys showed against Philadelphia week 1 that they have a strong enough defense, even without Micah Parsons, to be able to stop an elite team. And the Giants are not an elite team. They are not elite offensively. I think the Cowboys win this game at home. I think the fans are going to be excited to have their first win for the season and being able to watch this at home. I think there's going to be a lot of hype with that. Moving down forward, we kind of addressed the Patriots already and the Dolphins. We do have the Patriots of who we're recommending. Obviously, guys, these are not our locks for what we have. These are our recommendations. If you want our locks, you will need to subscribe to Sports Launch Media and follow me on TikTok. You can look me up. It is John J. Really quick, we have Denver Broncos versus the Indy Colts. Okay. This is going to be a quick one for me, but I'll have you start it off. I'll give you 30 seconds on this one.
Sounds good. Yes, Daniel Jones had a good game, but it wasn't. It was against the Dolphins. They're playing an elite defense in the Broncos. Bo Nix didn't have a great game, but this is a bounce back game for me, for them. I personally believe that, and that's the best and quickest way I can sum it all up right there.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. I think it was an anomaly game for Bo Nix. I don't think that's who Bo Nix is. I think he had a great season last year, threw for over 4,000 yards and over 35 passing touchdowns. I think he has an even better offense this year. I think the defense is substantially better. I think he has one of the best head coaches in the game. I think the Colts are putting some random stuff together and calling it a 5-star meal. I just don't think that the Colts have something to operate high enough yet against the Broncos. I could be wrong, but it's also early in the season, and I'd prefer the Broncos. Moving forward, this is an easy lock, in my opinion. Probably doesn't even really need to be discussed, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, is the Arizona Cardinals against the Panthers. Arizona and Philadelphia and Green Bay are some of the hardest teams to play in at their home field. And it goes down to statistics, analytics, everything you want to look at. Arizona at home is extremely tough to beat. Carolina has to fly all the way across the country for this. And not only that, this game starts at 1:05. There's going to be some jet lag with that. Now, I would love to hear your opinion on this. Ollie, go ahead.
Yeah, so here's the thing. The Cardinals, they have a lot more. I personally think they have better weapons.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr.
In terms, with the Panthers. Offensively and defensively, so that's like the best and easiest way I can put it. Cardinals, I personally, and like you said, they're at home. They're really hard to beat at home, and I just personally don't think that the Panthers have enough firepower to take them down.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's not much more that needs to be said. I think the Arizona Cardinals get it done with James Conner, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride. Kyler Murray doesn't have the new Fortnite out yet, so he's going to perform really good. So you have LA Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. This is basically a home game for the LA Chargers. They literally just have to drive about 2 hours to get to the stadium. I'm actually pretty certain they're taking buses, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think they're flying. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they're taking buses to this event. Not that they need to. I mean, they have all the costs and funds to be able to do so, but they did just travel to Brazil. They beat the Chiefs in Brazil. I think that's a huge, huge win. I think that they're riding high. Justin Herbert has no complications with Madison Beer, so he's good mentally there. Lab McConkey's really good. They have such a good running back core, and I like the head coach better than I like Pete Carroll for just a winning percentage, to be honest. I think that Harbaugh is a phenomenal coach, and he puts together some amazing teams. I think that their personnel on their team, the Chargers, take this game by a touchdown or two, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and another thing that I did want to point out that I think you missed out on is that they have a veteran wide receiver in Keenan Allen who performed very well against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs is not a knockoff defense. We all know this. So for them to perform the way they did against a high octane defense, yes. The Raiders, yes, granted they have Max Crosby. But overall, as a team defensive unit, I do think the Chiefs are stronger in that aspect, and the Chargers took them down. So I definitely see it. But it will be a competitive game. It is a division game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But, 100%. This is going to be this and the Bronco game is going to determine who's going to be on top.
100%.
Moving forward, I don't even want to get into this game. I'm just going to give the synopsis for it, if you don't mind, just for you and me on this. The Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. The Ravens are going to dog walk the Browns, and they are going to show why they're one of the best teams in the NFL. I think they get their get back in this game, and I think it's going to be ugly. I have player props in my head that I have not put in yet, that I just know that I could put, and it's going to be an insane payout because I just know Lamar Jackson's going to get rushing touchdown. So is Derrick Henry. It's just going to be ridiculous. It's going to be a feast on the Browns. I take the Ravens in this. This is going to be a tough game. We're going to do this one last, and this is because you're a Bears fan, so we're going to skip this one. Next, that's going to be a lock, in my opinion, is going to be the Bills and Jets, and you can do what I just did with the Ravens on this. So I want you to take control of this conversation really quick and give your 30-second reason why the Bills are just going to annihilate the Jets.
For the quickest way to put it, Bills, they came back against the Ravens. They were down 15, and in such an amazing fashion, Josh Allen proved why he was the MVP for last year. He literally puts the team on his shoulders. I would even say a mediocre wide receiver core.
No, Keon Coleman showed out, bro.
He did, but if you make comparison to a lot of other receivers like that, I would put Keon Coleman at a wide receiver too. If you ask me personally, this game, yes, he stood out, but the Ravens defense, they just crumbled very horribly. And this is a thrashing in the making. It's like how it is. And yeah, there's not a chance. I know that they say any given Sunday, but I'm sorry, it's definitely not going to be this Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about one of the 3 trap games of the week, the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, yes.
I have
It's a hard one, that's for sure.
I think I have the Vikings taking this, and that's going to come down to the coaching. I think the coaching and being at home, whenever it's 50-50, if you guys don't know this, if you guys are ever 50-50 on something, you should always take the home team. It's just the safest way. Probabilities on 50-50s when the money lines are so close too, is that you always take the home, and the home typically wins about 80% of the time. Again, this could go either way. I think JJ didn't show us full potential. I think that was a great opening game for him. I think that his team helped him out a lot. I don't think he's a better quarterback than Caleb. However, I think that the head coaching is really good for the Vikings compared to the Falcons. I think the personnel that they have on that team is very good to the Falcons. I think their running back core is better than the Falcons. I think their D-line is better than the Falcons D-line. So I'm going to put the Vikings on this. However, I could absolutely eat my words. Ollie, what is kind of your consensus on this?
So I'm going to agree with you 100%. It was a brutal loss for us. Yes, there was a lot of officiating. There's a lot of things you can point out. But at the end of the day, we all know Kevin O'Connell. He is a great coach. And I'm going to point out one interesting factor that I think a lot of people are going to miss out on is if you go into when the Bears scored a touchdown in the one of the last our second from the final drive, and we kicked it off. We didn't elect to do an onside kick. Now, the kick returner, the first look that he did, he looked towards Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell signaled to him, come run out. That is such a genius play calling. Like, and the reason why, and I'm going to elaborate.
It ate the clock. Yeah,
it ate the clock. It took away a free play with with clock management. Yes, so I think if the Bears had more time in that, yes, I think we could have orchestrated a great drive and potentially win that game. But like I said, he's a phenomenal coach, and he's very smart and deliberate, and we've seen this in the past few years. So that's the only thing I say. Like,
so you have the Vikings. You have the Vikings.
Unfortunately, I have to say that yes, even though it's a bitter victory, but for them, bitter loss for us. But yes, I would have to say I'm going to take the Vikings on this, but it could go either way.
It could go either way. It could. I will say the one reason that I have and one of my bets I do have the Falcons beating the Vikings, and this was prior to tonight's game. And my reasoning is that Kirk Cousins is a backup for the Falcons, and Kirk Cousins recently played for McConnell, and he knows a lot of how he operates. 100% the head coach of the Falcons and Kirk Cousins are talking about a strategy. I guarantee it. So it could go either way. In the next game, we're getting down to our last three here, and then we're going to wrap everything up here pretty quick for everyone to be watching this. This is a huge episode, but this is a lot to take away, especially when we're going to be doing bets and parlays. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Houston Texans. I don't think a lot of people understand this when I'm saying this, and I mean this with full respect. I actually really like the Texans, and I love CJ Stroud. I don't think the Texans are as good of a team as people want them to be, and I want you to hear what I said about that as much as people want them to be. I think they have a phenomenal defense. I would put them top 5 from last year. This year, I don't know yet. But I have 100% more trust in the personnel roster and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely showed out with everything they had. They didn't even overutilize Mike Evans, and they still had a phenomenal game. I think the Bucs take this win against the Texans. It is a small flight over from Florida into Texas to where they're at, and I see Mike Evans in this game actually being pretty utilized, to be honest. So, Ollie, what's your takeaway on this one?
Yeah, so here's the thing. This is a very tough game. I'm going to point out. I do want to say that yes, that the Buccaneers are going to win it. I personally, I'm taking that. But the very, very hard game. Houston is at home. They had a gut-wrenching loss. You know, I think it could be a definite comeback game. You know, bounce back game. So, with that being said, like it could go either way, but I'm very, very impressed by Emeka Egbuka.
I am too.
The guy showed out. He definitely showed out, and this is the reason why I'm going to delve into why I think the Buccaneers will win this, is because they're so talented offensively. Baker Mayfield knows how to manage the game. He plays it well, and Mike Evans, he didn't play 100% like the way we thought he would have had. Yeah. But the good takeaway from that was the showcasing of Emeka Egbuka, and not to mention Cade Otton. People are having a lot of questions about him, but I personally last year in my fantasy football lineup, I had him at my flex position. He played really well. Couple of games. He's a big tight end. If he gets the ball thrown at him a lot, I think he'll be productive in that matter. But back at case in point, and then Bucky Irving, phenomenal running back. One of the best. I definitely will say after this year, if not top 3, top 5 for damn sure. Yes. So this is the reason why I say that I think the Buccaneers win this.
Yep.
Because they're so talented on offense, and they're going to make it very hard for that Texans defense. And yeah, like CJ Stroud. Here's the thing: he's still missing weapons. With what's the receiver name? That was injured from last year.
Tank Dell.
Tank Dell. Yes. Sorry, I didn't know that
That's
off the
okay.
top of my head.
That's what we're here for.
But yeah. So the thing is, Nico Collins had a lackluster game. I don't think he's gonna have that. I think it's gonna be a bounce back for him.
Yeah, I agree.
At the end of the day, which they don't have Joe Mixon either. Nick Chubb, he did look pretty good. He had 60 yards on the ground, but yeah, like I don't see their offense clicking as well as the Buccaneers do. And the question is, the main point is that I'm going to end it off with is this Texans offense. Is it as strong as the Buccaneers offense against their defense? Like, can the Buccaneers score with that offense?
I think the Bucs just are going to know what the Texans are going to operate with. I don't think there's any surprises. There's no trick plays with the Texans. I think they just know that they play with a high level of defense and that they're going to figure out how to get around that, especially with the offensive weapons that the Bucs have. But I agree with you. I would recommend the Bucs as well if you guys are watching. Again, these are not my guaranteed locks, and for what I'm doing right now, if you guys want that, you guys do need to follow me on TikTok and also go to sportsloungemedia.com. We're going to get into a couple more, and then we're going to be going over a recap, and then we should be done with this. But I am going to dive into yours before the very last one. The Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears had a very gut-wrenching loss today. I think they had a lot of positive notes on the good side of the ball. The Detroit Lions had a horrible loss against the Packers. I think the personnel offensively for the Lions is too good to just say, oh, yeah, the Bears automatically win this game. I think the Lions do win. I think it is going to be another very close game like what we saw. And that isn't a dig at you or your team or anything. But when I see tape and highlight from last year about how they came back off of a loss and then they played at home and won, it is night and day difference of how they play. And I think that the Bears are going to do everything they can. But I think these are the two toughest. And everyone knows the Bears have the second hardest schedule in the entire league. I think these are the two losses right off the bat that you and I kind of discussed. We said the Vikings could have gone either way, which I completely agreed. But I think the loss does come to the Lions. And then moving forward, I think you guys win a few more games here out. But yes, this week I do have the Lions beating. What do you?
Yeah. So here's the that I'm always going to be an NFL fan first, and I'm very unbiased in this matter.
Mm-hmm.
And like going forward, like I do think, like I love my team, but there was way too many costly penalties in this game. Like the Bears, they lined up offside. There was way too many false calls. It proved it was 12 penalties for 150 yards. That speaks for itself. So that's a horrible image, and I hate that they did that. But there are going to be growing pains. That's the thing. So another factor. Yes, we had three key defensive players out in Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, and TJ Edwards, and the defense played very well in the first three quarters. They let up in the fourth quarter. Now, the thing is, a defense will get tired. We all know this. And then once they're out of gas, it's very hard to produce, and contain. So with that being said, that's how it happened. Now, the Lions, they didn't look impressive. They showed that they can get beaten by an elite team very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do think it's a bounce back game for them. They're at home. As much as I hate to say it, but if our players do return, it will be a lot closer. I do think so. But if our key defensive players are not there, then I hate to say it against my own team, yeah, I think the Lions are winning 100%.
Yeah, this is another one that could be like the Bucks and Texans. Or not the Bucks and Texans, my apologies, but the Vikings and Falcons game. It could go either way in this one. Kind of moving forward, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs is our last one that we have to touch up on before we do a recap.
Yep.
Philadelphia, they've beaten Kansas City at their own house.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia just beat them in the Super Bowl. Philadelphia is also going to get Jalen Carter back.
Yep.
Philadelphia looks really good. Kansas City, however, just went and lost in the Super Bowl. They lost in Brazil. And not only that, Travis Kelce ran into Xavier Worthy, causing an injury that took him out of the game. Not only that, Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, looks complacent. He doesn't look hungry like Jalen Hurts looks hungry after a Super Bowl win. He looks like he's used to it. Now, does this mean that he's not talented enough to go back and win another Super Bowl? No. I just think last year, looking at the Kansas City Chiefs and how many games they won and how it was within a one-game score out of 12 of their 17 games, I think the Philadelphia Eagles go in and upset the Chiefs again, and I think the Eagles beat them.
Here's the thing. Okay, when you're done,
I'm ready for you. I want to hear what you think.
Okay, so yeah, I am gonna say this: the Kansas City Chiefs, they look like what they did last year, except that they did win those close games. This year, it's a totally different dynamic. It's just you have a good feeling about it and the way they perform. Now, the loss of Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, is going to make a huge impact. I'm not a big fan on Isaiah Pacheco. I'm sorry to say that to Chiefs fans, but I'm no way. Like
I completely agree. Completely agree.
You guys need to change that up. Like get another running back in that matter. Kareem Hunt, he is a good backup, but at the end of the day, he's a backup. So I think they definitely need a good running back. Now, going back to what you said about Patrick Mahomes, Mahomes, he did make some phenomenal throws. I will not deny that. Especially that one where he did it was like a flicker. Now, he was passing it for the most part. I think he did play pretty decent. Now, given what he had, but he's gonna have to rely heavily on Travis Kelce in this game. But Travis Kelce had a down year last year, especially going into the playoffs. And I don't see it happen. I don't see Travis Kelce being very productive. So for that reason, I am going to say the Eagles are going to win. They are getting Jalen Carter back. That's going to make a huge difference. And the thing is, like you mentioned, with Jalen Hurts, yes, he did not pass well. But at the end of the day, here's the thing. He plays enough just to win, and you have to love that mentality. That's the one thing. When he needs to throw, he steps it up. He does, and it was showcased inside the Super Bowl. Like you have to pick your poison in a situation. Do you want Saquon Barkley? Do you want to stop him? If you do,
right.
Okay, then you can game plan for players like that. Yeah, and you can be very effective too, especially under Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid. They can definitely do it. But here's the thing: when you do that, now you're stretching yourself thin, and this is where you have to come into factor in where does the other team, when they game plan like this, like can the Eagles produce without Saquon Barkley? And they proved that in the Super Bowl on the biggest game, on the biggest stage of the game.
Yeah.
Now, I personally think, yes, they can definitely replicate it. And Jalen Hurts he doesn't have to do much, and even if need be, he's proven that he could, and that's why I think they will take this game, even though it is at Arrowhead. If it does come down to it, like it is any given Sunday, anything is possible at the end of the day. the Kansas City Chiefs, they have proven they are a good team.
Mm-hmm.
So anything is possible, but I think there's way too many factors to overcome in this game, and I don't see it with their firepower. No, they don't have enough firepower.
I agree. Yeah, I agree completely.
That's the best way to put it.
I do think that the Eagles take it. I think the Eagles take it. I do. I think it's going to be close, but I think they take it. All right, so recapping really quick, these are not what we're locking in. This is just what we recommended based off of going into week 2, and I definitely would strongly advise you guys, first and foremost, if you feel like you have a gambling addiction, to reach out and get help. Secondly, only gamble with what you have for fun. Do not gamble anything to try to get stuff paid. It will not happen, and you will not win. This is just for fun, and these are just our recommendations. Green Bay Packers beating the Commanders. Pittsburgh Steelers beating the Seattle Seahawks. The Bengals beating the Jaguars. Niners beating the Saints. Rams beating the Titans. Cowboys beating the Giants. The Patriots beating the Dolphins. The Broncos beating the Colts. The Cardinals beating the Panthers. The Chargers beating the Raiders. Ravens beating the Browns. The Lions beating the Bears more than likely. Buffalo Bills beating the Jets. The Eagles beat the Chiefs. The Vikings to beat the Falcons. However, just like the Bears game and Lions game, this could also swing either way as well. So could the Philadelphia game, but we do have the Vikings to beat the Falcons at home. And then the Bucks to beat the Texans at the Texans home. If you guys do that and you guys ended up wanting to pick this bet on a any amount of bet that you put in, it is a plus 211,546, meaning if you bet $100, you are getting paid $211,546. Will this hit? We will see. We will find out. We will go from there. But again, we appreciate you guys so much. And I want to thank Ali for hopping on. And guys, thank you so much for week 1. We did really good. We went 13-16. Ali went 14-16. If you guys want to follow us for more, please reach out to our TikTok or Sports Lounge Media. Please follow all the other shows, subscribe to our YouTube channels, and all our other content platforms. Thank you guys so much.